I am not worried about cheeseburgers in paradise. I am not worried about my lost shaker of salt. What I'm worried about is getting out of this Jimmy Buffett concert. You see, a guy I've been dating a couple of months, his name was Joe, asked me to go to the Jimmy Buffett concert with him. Now, he wasn't a parrot head, but he was a guy that really loved the music and had seen Jimmy Buffett several times around the country and thought it would be a great thing for us to do. We had been dating a couple of months, and we were sort of at that point where it's like, we're kind of going somewhere, we're seeing each other more, but I didn't want to go. And it wasn't because I didn't like Jimmy Buffett. I knew some of his songs, but it really had to do with the fact that my ex husband, Larry, and his girlfriend, who I suspect he had been seeing before we actually got separated, and all the friends that we knew over the 10 years together were going to be there. And so I had a choice. Did I tell Joe that I was worried that we were going to bump into my ex husband and his girlfriend and all of our old friends? Or did I go and try to have a good time at the concert? And I decided the latter. I was going to go and try to have a good time. The day that Joe came to pick me up for the concert, I had to work. And so he picked me up about 3:30 in the afternoon, and we decided to speed on down to Mansfield to do a little tailgating before the concert actually started. Joe had done a great job. He had packed a whole bunch of snacks and drinks and chairs, and we could just kind of hang out and watch the crazy crowd. That's what he told me. So we drive down, and of course, people had been tailgating since earlier in the day. And so it was kind of tough to find a parking space. But Joe had found one near a long row of bushes. Great. We park, he gets out the chairs, he gets out the drinks. On the way down, I was so nervous I ate a whole bag of popcorn, so that was gone out of our snacks, but we still had plenty to eat. And I'm sitting there, and I'm getting more and more anxious. Part of it was because I was worried that somehow in this huge crowd, you know how the way the gods work, that I was going to bump into Larry. But I was noticing the different types of people that were at this concert. I mean, of course, there was the parrot heads, the people that were wearing the big parrots on top of the head, but there was really drunk people there. There was a girl walking around that I think started with a coconut bra in the right place and it landed on her shoulders. There was someone going around collecting all the cans. And because we had parked near a row of bushes, it turns out that was the de facto bathroom for a lot of the people in the parking lot. So people were walking back and forth behind me to go to this bush. And at one point, a guy walked by and put his hand on my shoulder. And I know he didn't wash his hands. Joe's trying to do his best, but I'm getting more and more tense. There's a lot of people around here who are drunk. My ex-husband could be here. I'm looking around. I'm saying, this is definitely not the crowd that I'm used to. And, here's this guy who took me to this. Like, is this his crowd? But he was just sitting back having some food and enjoying it and very even keel. So a couple hours had passed and he said, hey, I think the concert's starting. Let's go in. And we go in and we find our seats. And of course, the couple in front of us is obliterated, drunk out of their mind, fighting with each other. The music's loud. It overwhelms me at that point. And I said to Joe, listen, I'm going to go to the bathroom. I'll be back. Of course, I didn't go to the row of bushes. I actually found the actual bathroom and sat on a bench outside of it. And I had my phone in my hand. And at that point, I was trying to figure out whether or not I was going to call my dad and say, get me out of here. This was just too much for me. I was overwhelmed. Or I was going to somehow go back inside and grin and bear it. And while I was sitting there, I was thinking about the situation. Here I am in this place and, with a guy that I don't really know. And everything was going fine, but I still had all these worries in my head. And I realized that the idea of my ex being there was what was influencing a lot of this. This is what was causing me worry. Maybe if I looked at this a little bit differently, I could have laughed at some of these people. But I was so tense by our past, by this woman that I suspected had been part of our lives. And I was letting him influence me even though he was a ghost. We had tried to be friends. And I thought about it. We weren't really friends. There was no reason for us to be friends. I mean, we were exes trying to be more mature. It was silly. But I didn't want him to influence my life anymore. And so I put my phone back in my pocket and I walked back inside and I found our seats. And the couple in front of us actually had gotten tossed because they were so crazy. And I had missed that. And somehow I made it back towards Margaritaville. And the crowd was on their feet and they were singing along with him and chanting along about losing their shaker of salt, 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 salt. And Joe put his arm around me, and I realized that that was my future and I needed to leave the past in the past. And so when Jimmy Buffett sang the line, "Some people say there is a woman to blame," I really know it was my own damn fault.